Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Law, I'd like to start with you. We're seeing reports that the acting FEMA director was unaware that there was a hurricane season. I've also seen reports that the hurricane plan wasn't completed prior to the start of hurricane season. So I just wanted to ask you, does that seem acceptable to you?
Thank you for the question, Senator. I'm not familiar with those reports, but what I can tell you is from my understanding as senior counselor to the Secretary, they are taking a very critical look at FEMA because it has failed to operate the way it should, and they're definitely focused on that.
Well, I guess I would just like to restate this. Do you think that we should have a FEMA director that understands when hurricane season begins?
I believe that the Secretary has confidence in the current leadership of FEMA.
Do you know when hurricane season starts and ends?
We are currently in hurricane season.
And when does it end?
I believe it ends sometime in September or October.
It ends at the end of November. And I just raised this because there was no mention of anything about natural disasters in your opening statement about the importance that Homeland Security plays with this. And you're talking about FEMA. Are you in support of abolishing FEMA? Do you support some of the statements that the president has made in that direction?
Well, thank you for the question, Senator. I think the president and the secretary have been abundantly clear that FEMA in its current form is not working. And I am up for a policy position, not an operational role in FEMA. But to the extent that there are policies relevant to FEMA, I, if confirmed, would be happy to work with you on those.
Well, I mean, you would be in charge of strategy, policy, and plans. And I think having a hurricane plan is very important. I think having a plan on how to address natural disasters are very important. And I guess I want to ask you, do you see a role for FEMA and the Department of Homeland Security to be a focal point when it comes to addressing natural disasters around the country? Or do you think that should be at the state level?
Well, thank you for the question, Senator. I think there's always been a role for the state and locals to be the lead when it comes to natural disasters, and that FEMA plays an important supporting role, but FEMA has failed to deliver. It's my understanding that there are still outstanding claims going all the way back to Hurricane Katrina, and
I
that's
don't
just
discount the fact that there are reforms to be made and problems that exist, but I want to just redirect you to the primary mission stated in the founding document of Homeland Security, which says directly that DHS is acting as a focal point regarding natural and man-made crises and emergency planning. And I just say that because I do not see this administration taking that aspect of responding to natural disasters as centrally and important and critically as it should be. And I just want to hit that home with you, because if you are confirmed, I hope that you can commit to working with me and working with this committee to making sure that we're addressing those issues. Can you do that?
Thank you for the question, Senator. If confirmed, of course, I would be happy to work with you on the crisis management and emergency response efforts of the Department of Homeland Security.
Mr. Cain-Cross, I wanted to just turn to you. How are we doing as a nation when it comes to cybersecurity? How would you kind of rate us in terms of our preparedness?
Well, Senator, what I think is these attacks are increasing, they're becoming more sophisticated, and they're scaling up. And so I believe that this office was intended by the statute to help coordinate and focus that policy.
So you're saying that the threats are increasing and they're scaling up. Mm-hmm. Is that right?
Correct.
Then why is it that the Trump administration is trying to decrease the staffing and the budget when it comes to an incredibly important office like CISA?
Well, Senator, what I think is this is a complicated vector, but at its core, this is a human nature issue. Our enemies do not see a cost in engaging in this behavior. And so they impose strategic dilemmas on us, and they have now for a long period of time. It's time that we impose those dilemmas on them.
Well, yeah, I agree with that, but I feel like, an important part of that is to have the staff necessary. I mean, you're talking about a challenging vector here. I mean, I'm having a hard time understanding if threats of cybersecurity are increasing, as you said, and scaling up, why is our investment in it going down?
Well, so I think a first management principle for me is that form follows function. And so I know with regards to this office, if I am to be confirmed, I'm going to use that principle to make sure that the function we're serving, which is to get to defend the United States from these attacks, to keep our critical infrastructure safe, to keep our citizens safe, because as we know, these criminals and enemies target the most vulnerable Americans, that the form that we take is the most efficient, effective way to service that mission.
I'll yield back.
Senator Slotkin.